Starting here in Aparecida de Goiania. Not a real scenic area, but I gotta get to know my equipment and what works and what doesn't work and get that right before I go find some nice places to record. It's a whole nother level of defensive driving here. Not as bad here. I'm pretty well outside the city center, downtown area. But you get into the city, you got to watch in front and behind you quite a bit because people will pass you within inches, going way too fast. But that's just how it is here. Also, you'll notice stop signs are pretty much optional. In fact, in some places, if you stop, you're probably just going to get hit from behind because there's nobody coming. You don't stop. And at night, Goiania, the main city that I'm near here, kind of in central southern Brazil. It's not quite, it doesn't have quite the crime of like Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo, but it's still Brazil. So stoplights at night, most are just going to kind of blow through those because stopping in a dark area when there's not many people around is kind of not a good idea. I haven't heard of a lot of issues in this city with that kind of thing, but I'm sure it's here. But especially in like Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, those are pretty well known. You can easily find videos online of people getting, you'll be stopped at a light, motorcycle or car, and all of a sudden you got, 2 or 3 motorcycles or a couple dudes on a motorcycle that kind of block you in somewhere and take your bike from you, take your stuff from you. I think it's mostly for the they just want to get your stuff. I don't think most of those incidences end up in injury, but some do. So I'm heading south from Goiania right now, just kind of already basically in the countryside here, fairly rural. The highway, the highway here, this is pretty well paved. You get off the highway here and you're going to be probably hitting some dirt roads depending on where you're heading, but the main highways are decent. Some regions, even the highways are pretty bad. We went up to the northeast of Brazil mid last year, and I guess because of a lot of rain up there, they just can't. You can see them out there fixing these potholes, but they're still just a section might. It's bad. You have to go pretty slow, and even then you're getting into potholes that are half the depth of your wheel on a small car. So you're doing this zigzag thing, and if it's just a one lane each direction kind of road, then you're playing that game with the people coming the opposite direction too, so you can a 10-mile section might take you a couple hours or something. But it's not near as bad here. This highway's pretty decent. First time getting this camera mounted to this helmet. Hopefully the audio is going to turn out. A lot of wind noise here. This motorcycle doesn't have any wind protection. It's a pretty small bike, 250. Motorcycles here, 90% of them are going to be like a 150 cc, pretty small, especially inside the cities. They're just more for getting around, good on gas, economical. Got some that are 250s, and then a few people that are more well off that might do some road trip and traveling, motorcycle traveling on bigger bikes. I do see occasionally the 500 Hondas, the Tiger 850s and 900s are pretty popular. Relatively, for the few that do have the bigger bikes, the Tigers are pretty popular. I see a few BMWs here and there, the big adventure bikes. But a lot of people just hop on a 150, throw a backpack on the back, and head out. Pretty simple. There is a decent amount of wind on this one without a windshield, but it's not awful actually. It's, for some reason, it's better than my fairly bigger bike back in the States. But it's a dinosaur, but it's bigger and it does have a windscreen. But still, the wind hits you harder for some reason. I guess the shape of the windshield. This I'm doing 90 kilometers per hour. I guess about 60 miles per hour, and it's not awful. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad with the mic inside. Just gonna do a quick run, 40-minute ride or so out here. See a little bit of the countryside, check this equipment, maybe fly the drone a little bit. Been down this way probably 30 times already. It's nice because it's close, and I prefer riding outside the city because the city is it's crazy here. Lots of accidents, motorcycle accidents, because it's just people drive especially in this city, basically that you just have to avoid them. Passing here, it's pretty much always fair game, so you do see some accidents with that as well on the highway. It seems like the guys in the small trucks here are I don't know, I guess the cockiest. They drive kind of like assholes, like entitled assholes, like you might know some of those in the States. The Toyota Hilux is super popular. The Volkswagen Armach, both beautiful trucks, smaller. They would be considered a smaller truck in the States, but they're what's most common here. Small, deep turbo diesel, pretty nice trucks. But something like that here runs 250, 300,000 reais. Which the minimum salary here is about 1,200 reais per month. So not that different than if you consider, if in the United States you made a minimum wage but yet had to pay $300,000 for just a small truck. So life's a little rough here if you're earning the local currency. As far as cars and motorcycles go, if you earn dollar, you're paying pretty similar to what a bike like this or an equal car would cost in the United States. So This small 250 about was about $4,000, so pretty similar. This is a police checkpoint. They have these pretty commonly on the highways. Usually nobody stopping you, but every once in a while they do stop and just kind of check and make sure you're doing the right thing. And been stopped a couple times, and so far no real issues. The first time we were down in southern Brazil heading into Argentina, and they did want to check the car for some reason, but it didn't give us any trouble after that. Pretty green here right now. Even just 2 months ago, this would have all been pretty dead looking, pretty brown. You can see these big mounds. Those are like ant hills basically, and these ants are here. I think that's what they are. Just massive ant piles, and the ants here are no joke. But yeah, I started to say that it's all pretty green. This is the rainy season. This is summer here, opposite of northern hemisphere. So that just basically means a lot of rain. It's still pretty nice. It's I don't know, 75 degrees right now. Late morning. I had a break from the rain yesterday and today, but other than that, it's been raining every day, at least for a little while. I have never, I've been here in Brazil for a little over 2 years for the most part, and I've had a car here for a little over a year, and the motorcycle for about 6 months. And I've never, all the driving I've done, we've driven all the way across the country, north and south, and I've never seen someone just like pulled over, like you see on the daily in the States. That's just not what the police are doing here. I think we're good. I gotta stop and check this GoPro every once in a while. It's I have a love-hate relationship with GoPro. Love that there's so many places and ways to mount them, and that they're durable, but they seem to be pretty unreliable, and I don't think it's just mine. This is an older one, a GoPro 5, but reading the same reliability issues with the newer stuff too. They just stop recording or freeze up. Sometimes do these weird artifacts. So I just stop and check mine and make sure it's running. Battery sucks on them too, and it's hard to get to it while it's mounted to this helmet. What's going on here? Oh, hit a dog? Oh, I think they hit a dog. Lots of dogs in the streets here. Most of them pretty sickly looking. Fortunately, most of them seem pretty friendly. Haven't had any issues so far. Every once in a while you get one chasing you. They like to chase motorcycles and bicycles. See these older Honda and Yamaha 150 or 160cc bikes all over, dime a dozen. They're basically bulletproof bikes, very simple to maintain, economical, run forever. Also see a lot of these Volkswagen minibuses. Call them combis, combi. Combi or combi. People work out of them, travel out of them, build small, little travel camping buses or little, camping vehicles out of them. School bus in this case, escolar. What do you think about the angle, the view? Is it smooth enough? Is it wide enough? Too wide? I don't have it turned to high resolution. It's just on 1080p. I can do 2.7 or 4K even on this one, but I don't know if it's worth it for how much extra work it is to screw with that video and the space it takes. But I might flip it on. I don't know. We'll try it and see how this one looks. See if I don't miss my turn this time. I think it's about 3 miles up, 5 kilometers. City where we live now, Goiania, or just outside of Goiania, is about 2.5 hours from Brasilia, which is the capital, the nation's capital. They just had a couple days ago, kind of like what happened in the States a couple years ago, where the little bit of background, they had the previous president that was just voted out, Bolsonaro. He was Republican president. They voted back in Lula, which was the president before Bolsonaro, I think, and there's a bit of controversy around both of those guys. Lula, I think, was in prison at some point, and there's some claims of corruption around him. There's also plenty of claims of corruption around Bolsonaro, and so there's quite a bit of divide here, just like in the States, with between the two parties, kind of getting more and more extreme, the division. And so the supporters of Bolsonaro that didn't like how that whole thing played out, the election that just went down late last year, November, December. They've been protesting. I think up until the other day, it was all just, they were just hanging out, trying to make their voice heard, and then all of a sudden, I believe it was a couple thousand stormed the Congress building there and started tearing shit up. So there was something like 45 buses, each completely full, like I think 30, 40 something person buses all full that they bust out of there to go be interviewed, so they could try and work through who was part of the actual vandalism. Here's my turnout. They do these things where you can, these turnabouts where you can kind of get out of the main path of the traffic to make your turn. Let's see if I'm doing this right. Yeah. It's kind of nice actually, so you don't have to, since it's one lane roads, you don't have to stop traffic if there's oncoming traffic. Lovely, now I got a trash truck. Nice view there. Get out here a bit and see if I can get my drone up in the air and following me for a little while. Take a little bit of video of from above. This bike's actually quite a bit more fun than I would have imagined. It's obviously not fast, but it's also not as disappointing as I thought a 250 would be. It's a fun little bike. I'm a little guy and it's pretty nimble, so my old dinosaur Suzuki DR650 back in the States can be kind of a handful. It's tall, so that's hard when you get on uneven surfaces. It's very top heavy, so if you lean just a little bit too much, and it's everything I can do to keep it from falling over. But that bigger bike's also more, better on the highway. Kind of a nice spot over there, like a quarry looking section. I'll probably stop there and try to fly that drone a little bit. Let these cars pass. Hoping for a little shade, but this will have to do.